So, welcome back to the secret interview with Anaiya Sophia, where we're going to dive in a little bit more deeply into the Tantric Madonna, because that is an area that, it feels like this is 2017, the thing that we're creating. You mentioned earlier in 2018, it's going to be what we're doing with the Black Madonna. And so that's where my immediate attention went. But right now, right here, we're still really in this phase of talking about Mary Magdalene and what she embodies for us and how we can really call her into our lives even more. So, yeah.
Well, I think the first thing I would say is we would be very wise to approach the whole arena of sexuality with a partner and with ourselves in a different frame. And for the women, I guess it would be very wise for us to connect with our womb. Mary Magdalene was absolutely a womb keeper. She knew that this wasn't just about creating babies or having a monthly bleeding cycle. She knew that this was an absolute vortex of where all of her earthy energy was coming from. And this, I would suspect, is where she actually began her sexual initiations from. And so, step one for us women would be to make that downward journey into the womb and to actually become familiar and comfortable with this area as much as we do our hearts and our voices and our souls. So we might have to do a bit of cleaning down there, because for a woman, this is where we store all of our, not only our sexual trauma, but any sort of trauma or tension that has ever happened to us or our immediate nearest and dearest. And so this is probably why there's so many sort of health issues in this area for us Western women, because this is simply a storehouse. And of course, if we've been promiscuous, and I was very promiscuous, this is also a place where we keep a little psychic snapshot of every single partner we've ever had. So it's kind of like a hall of sexual records. It needs to be cleared. It needs to be emptied. It needs to be purified. And this is this is not like a huge and never-ending task. All it requires is awareness and the ability to go in and clean. And great cleaning instruments would be yoni eggs or yoni steaming. So just to turn your attention in and say to yourself, okay, I'm going to start clearing and healing my reproductive health. What's down there? Who's down there? What am I holding on to? What, of course, sexual shame, sexual guilt, sexual unease. How do you like your appearance? Do you avoid seeing yourself naked? Are you kind of like, whoa, interested in all of this? So it's all of that area, real second chakra stuff. If we want to be a Mary, and if we want to be able to interact with that great serpentine force coming from the sexual realm, coming from the womb, then we have to have a personal and intimate and loving and authentic relationship with the whole of our reproductive system. So that would be the ground, the first place to start from.
Yes. And it doesn't mean that we can't have the multiple lovers or anything like that, but it means that when we do have them, like, I'm in an open relationship, that when we do have them, it's about really having that intention that nothing stays. There's no hooks and no attachments, that we clean them out and we're not even letting them in the, even better.
Yes. And when we do make love or have sex with somebody, because of our self-love and because we value ourselves, we will look at the partner, we will also look at ourselves and say, what emotional state are we in really? And we would also be wise to actually take into consideration the psychic quality of the environment. So the room, the forest, the house, the car, wherever you are. So there's like new things to consider. And if it's a good to go, you enter the sexual connection consciously. You're in a good emotional state. He or she's in a good emotional state. The environment, yeah, pretty good. Okay, let's open. And then you know that you can open further than you have before because you've done your little checklist before entering in. But if you've got something on your heart and you can see your partner's in a dreadful state, totally in their heads, or holding on to some resentments, it would be a great idea not to engage. But who knows? A little bit of conversation and everything's good to go again in half an hour's time. And yes, and when letting go, you don't just let go at the heart. You do your womb healing and clearing. You let go of what you've been holding. And that means all that sexual desire for them gone. And of course, me and you most probably totally know that if you've had a strong sexual connection, you're just going to be playing it back because it was so fabulous. And that's what I mean by lingering energy. You've got to be willing. Okay, that was a great lover, but he or she was no good for me. And I'm not going to think about our sexual antics. Push it aside. That takes flipping discipline. That takes discipline.
Yes.
And if it was a powerful lover and you can't stop thinking about them, then you could use something like a black obsidian yoni egg, and that will keep that area very quiet. And the black obsidian will simply draw that energy into itself, take the black obsidian out, gone. And that's ways I've been working with clearing my womb.
And do you then clean the egg as well afterwards?
Yes, but sometimes I bury the egg for maybe a whole month, and then obviously dig it up, clear it in spring water, and it's ready again.
Yes. Any last thoughts about this sexual energy, using it in a new way?
I just want to highlight that incredible, wild, freely expressive sexual energy, sexual force is not only there for our pleasure. So it can be guided and directed during the sexual act and in the aftermath of laying and resting together to areas in our body that you so know needs healing. So physical ailments, nervous system ailments, PTSD, nervousness, anxiety, tension, parts of the body that are weak and don't carry much energy at all, broken hearts, fragmented minds. So be wise, be mindful of where this energy is going. And if you want to cultivate more of it, you and the partner would kind of draw back a little bit at the first initial signs of an orgasm or an ejaculation on the horizon. That takes discipline. And I would suggest, you definitely don't be mindy about it, but if you could draw back 3, 4, 5 times, this is going to be a great generation of even more energy. And then I just want to bring in a little something. I think it's from the Gospel of Thomas, surprisingly enough, the Gnostic Gospel of Thomas. It could be Philip. There is a very clear passage that says, "He who lies in the embrace of trust and consciousness shall come to know God. So when you are resting in that beautiful aftermath period, remind yourself that you are laying in the embrace of trust and consciousness. So the trust would be the feminine part, and the consciousness would be the masculine part. And maybe you would feel that on your inside first, with your inner male and female, that you are a being full of trust and consciousness. And then you would feel the embrace of your partner. And you would recognize again, wow, I really am lying in the embrace of trust and consciousness. And then one third and final embrace is the embrace of life itself. The feminine part of life is trusting, and the masculine part of life is conscious. So it's like 3 mini embraces, your own, with your partner, and with the whole of life itself. And then you will be gone. And it's not sleeping.
Yes.
It is the most restorative, healing zone I've ever encountered.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. And I have touched on those areas myself, and it's the oneness, isn't it? We are just, there's like, wow, it is oneness. Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that in such an alive way, and such a tangible way for us to feel and not just hear it. So I want to thank you again so much for all that wisdom and the amazing stories that you've been bringing to us. And thank you so much.
Bless you, Crystal. Bless this summit deeply.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.